In STEM City by your side, we'll touch the sky. Students lifting students, hand in hand, together we rise, together we stand. From every we rise, together we stand. From every corner, from far and wide, our talents merge, our futures tied. In science, tech, and all the arts, we find our way, we play our parts, reach for the stars, for the stars.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Moria, your BEYA Stars and Stripes STEM Career Day Student Ambassador. Today's Career Day is sponsored by Lockheed Martin, the leading aerospace and defense company. We would like to thank Lockheed Martin for continuing to support our program. Today's program will focus on service as the theme. In honor of Veterans Day, all speakers are veterans or former or active military members. And today we will have a very special panel of speakers to discuss service. But before we learn about these amazing guests, let me bring up my fellow student ambassadors, Hope and Oliver, to share their thoughts on today's opening topic, service. Hello.
Hello. Hey, Moria. Hello, I'm Hope Pagan, a current college student and a veteran ambassador. And today, we're discussing service. We'd like to invite our viewers to participate. Fellow ambassadors, what do you associate with service? What do you think it means to be in service to your country? Please share your thoughts in the chat and a picture if you have one, viewers. So what do you guys associate with service?
Well, to me, service just means like a profound commitment to one's country and a willingness to serve and protect like our freedoms and values.
I love your answer. Service to me means like duty. Like service means like it's not a requirement, but it's like I feel like it's mentally something that you should like kind of like take aside from all your priorities, and service is like to give back, in my opinion. I feel like we should all make it a duty to give back. What values do you think lead to signing up for military service?
I would say some values, maybe like self-sacrifice or honor would be associated.
Maria, what about you?
I would say dedication.
Values, I think that lead up to signing up for military service has to be like confidence, but because I feel like a lot of people have fear when they sign up for military service, and something the opposite of fear, like determination or like bravery or courageousness, like things like those. Because I feel like you never know what's coming for you when you sign up for military services.
Right.
So,
Right.
service can also be found in communities. Did you have to do community service or volunteer hours in order to graduate from high school?
I actually haven't graduated yet, but I'm currently doing service hours as a part of the National Honor Society. And I would say like the experience just like helps you develop certain habits that like help you build connections to your community.
I love that. Congratulations on being a part of the Honor Society. That's amazing, Oliver.
For real.
Moira?
I already graduated from high school, but when I was in high school, yes, I did do community service. I actually did a soup kitchen, and
nice.
yeah, around Christmas time, and that was very interesting. Like, it was very interesting. I felt good giving back to the community.
Yeah, a major part of my service was I actually tutored a lot of like underclassmen, and well, my the specific subject I tutored was Latin and computer science because I had recently taken those classes.
Wow. I wish I could tutor on computer science. You would have to tutor me. But my favorite memory of when I did service while during my high school years was in Harrisburg. We used to have this like breakfast every like Saturday for homelessness people, and they would get to sit down like they were in an actual restaurant, and you would
Oh
like be
wow.
their waitress, and like you would they would get to order their food, and it was just so fun to see all the families, especially the kids, and you would
Mm.
just leave with a great feeling of like you did your duty, like you gave back, and then a feeling of gratefulness too, that you're in a position that you're in. I always left feeling lighter, but also more determined to, if I'm in this position, let me make something of it. Let me go somewhere with it. Because not everyone gets to have the position that we all get to be in. Does service have to be formal, or do you think it can be informal as well?
I don't
I
think
don't.
it can be. I
I
don't
agree.
think it can be.
Service can be any random act. Like I feel like service is, if you went to vote, like that's service. Like you know what I mean. Or like when you give a homeless person like $1 or some money, I feel like that's service, giving back to your community as well. Or
Yes, agree.
I agree with
around
that.
Christmas time when they have the little like Santa giving collecting money for the kids, like anything could be service in my opinion.
Yes, anything can be service if you have good intentions.
Right. What's your favorite act of informal informal service?
Well, I would say personally, what I've done, what would be my favorite was as a part of the Latin Club. Every Christmas, we actually we like gather and make stockings for what is, oh yeah, the like Mercy House Food Foundation to give back to the homeless communities. So that would be my favorite.
That's
That's so
great.
cool. Oliver, how do you say service in Latin?
I actually have no idea.
Sorry to put you on the spot like that. I was just wondering.
This is no problem.
Maria?
Um, hmm. Um, I'm sorry. Could you repeat the question?
What's your favorite act of informal service?
Um, well, something as small as holding the door open for somebody when they're, you know,
Wow.
have a whole lot of stuff in their hand.
I love holding the door for elderly people. And they just seem so shocked and surprised, but they have the sweetest, like, you're such a nice young woman. Oh my gosh, thank you. You're so beautiful. I'd be like, oh my gosh, you do something for an elderly person, you hold the door, you just get all these compliments thrown at you. But
Mhm.
yeah, I love holding the door. I agree with that. Elderly, like, I love holding the door for everyone, to be honest. And I think my favorite service of informal service is complimenting people. Like, oh, you look good today. You look beautiful. Or, oh, you're super smart. Because you just see like a change in their face, and you're just like, I gave back. I uplifted. I filled somebody's cup today. I think filling
Mhm.
cups is my favorite form of informal service. Talk about a time that you completed community service. What did you learn or gain from that experience? What was the outcome of the service you provided? Anyone want to go first?
Oliver, go first.
We're just putting Oliver on the spot today.
I would say that some things that like from doing service, as I said before, you just develop like lifelong habits, like being kind and caring about your fellow man. I just feel like having those values instilled in you is very important to be successful later on in life.
I agree. I love that answer.
For me, hmm, the impact of doing community service, I agree with Oliver, first of all. It can make you feel so good. It gives you, like, I don't know, a positive feeling about yourself and a positive feeling about others.
Mhm.
And you're like, yeah, like, you're like, I did that. It gives you a good feeling.
I 100% agree. It makes me want to do more, go at it, give back, become successful so I can continue to give back. I love service. I love service in general, and I'm thankful to people that do service every day, like firefighters, police people, like every there's so many people that jobs are service jobs. So thankful for those people.
Exactly.
Moira, do you want to close us out for the discussion today? This was a great discussion, guys. Thank
Yep.
you for the discussion about service.
Thank you, everyone, for sharing your thoughts and engaging in such important discussion. Viewers, I hope we've given you something to think about, and we thank you for your participation. Now, here's Hope with today's special guest panel.
Thank you, Moira, for introducing the show, and thank you, ambassadors, for a great discussion. Today's guests are four-star General Retired General Vincent K. Brooks of the U.S. Army and one of the Centennial Seven, retired Naval Fighter Officer Vice Admiral Mel Williams of the U.S. Navy. Hello, Admiral Williams. Hello, General
Hello.
Vincent Brooks. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great, Hope. I'm inspired just by listening to all of you.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for joining us today. Can you guys like tell me like what it means? I know you guys have jobs that require service. What does service mean to you? How would you define service?
Well, for me, it's just the commitment of yourself to someone or something beyond or greater than yourself. You gave some great examples of service. It can be something as small as pausing for a moment to open a door for someone. I just love those comments that you made. Or it could be something like serving our nation and serving a much broader good for the purpose of good around the world and in the United States itself. So I've enjoyed a lifetime of service, and it certainly means a lot to me to have this conversation.
That I love that answer. Thank you for that.
And for me, for the longest time, I had done some thinking about why God put me on this earth, and I concluded that it was providing service to others in a leadership capacity. What I found was, if I worked on my ability as a leader of people, I could perhaps move into positions where I could serve and support more people. And for me, there are really kind of two components to service. One is really towards the individual. I think most of us, as we serve, we are really interested in allowing each individual to realize their full potential, through mentoring, to ensuring that they have the basic needs to be successful in their jobs. The second component is, as General Brooks mentioned, bigger than self, helping organizations or helping institutions to do better, serving country, serving a university if that's where you serve. So to me, service to individuals, service to organizations, and it's all towards making the world a better place. Thank you.
Those were both great answers and both answers that I can relate to in some capacity of where I want to be in my future. For example, General Brooks, when you said something like service is something greater than yourself, sometimes that really resonated with me because I was like, wait, service really is like taking your, even though we all live our own lives, service is looking at the other lives and how can we impact other people. And sometimes when we do that, I feel like life is more enjoyable to live. And Admiral Williams, when you talked about, um, looking at it as like where, like why God put you in that position and to be a leader, I feel like when you do so much service, you naturally build those leadership skills. And I hopefully one day can become a great leader to a whole bunch of people that I work with and and younger girls that are looking up to me, as well as my own friends and family. Oliver, Moira, do you guys have any questions you want to ask?
I had a question. I was just wondering, what would you say were some of you guys' biggest challenges in like on your path to success? And how did service help you with those challenges?
Mel, you want to go first?
Oh, sure. Thanks. Well, first off, to address challenges, I firmly believe that each individual must prepare themselves for inevitable challenges. And so for me, I was sort of a blue collar worker. I had to put in a lot of hours, do a lot of repetitions, etc., such that when I was provided with opportunity, I had a chance to perhaps succeed. And for me, going into the nuclear submarine force, when I joined, they said, "Hey, Mel, there's never been an African American commanding officer of a nuclear submarine." So me and some of my colleagues, we said, "Well, you have to start somewhere." So a challenge is going into a system where you're sort of a first. That could be a challenge, only if you're not prepared. And so, because I prepared myself and because my colleagues prepared ourselves for success, I think we were able to overcome many of the uh, obstacles associated with the very difficult and challenging experience that comes with operating a nuclear submarine and or just serving in combat. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great answer, and the importance of your preparation is perhaps one of the first and most continuous challenges that you'll face as you perform a lifetime of service, as you try to achieve and excel. You have to continuously prepare yourself. You can never take for granted that you're ready for the next thing. And that doesn't mean you have to be down on yourself. That's not it at all, but rather that you are constantly learning, you're constantly adapting. And so I certainly found that same thing to apply. I'd add just a few additional comments here. You will be your own impediment in many ways. What are your senses of self-confidence? What are your fears? Do you believe that you're not up to the task? Do you believe that because no one else has done it, you shouldn't try it? Admiral Williams talked about that and being a first, and he and I both have had many opportunities to be the first at something where it hadn't been done by someone who looks like us. And in some cases, the doors had been deliberately kept closed. In other cases, just no one had been prepared yet or given the opportunity to pass through. So you must constantly work within to decide that, I'm worthy of this. I've been given this opportunity. God put me in this position right now and prepared me with what I have. I'm going to do my best and step forward. And if something happens from that positively, great. If it doesn't, then I'll learn lessons and be prepared for something else. And so be confident in yourself, but realize you must also overcome yourself in many cases. And it's your doubts and your fears that will be in your way most of the time.
Thank you, General
Thank
Brooks and Vice Admiral Williams. Those are two insightful and impactful answers. Here's a quick break to learn about Career Day opportunities. Viewers, please take this time in a moment to post your own questions in the chat that you'd like to ask the panel right when we come back.
Calling all future STEM pioneers, leaders, and career champions. Join us on every second Saturday of the month for the BEYA Career Day. BEYA STEM Career Day is all about creating opportunities for students to venture into the world of STEM through the eyes of professionals. You'll meet mentors and presenters that will give you a sneak peek into the many options available to you in the field of STEM. Hosted by teen ambassadors, you'll find yourself among inspiring peers just like yourself that are aiming high for their future. To take part in the BEYA STEM Career Day on Zoom, visit fullstemahead.us and register for the next session. Again, that's fullstemahead.us. BEYA, becoming everything you are.
A world of careers unleashed. You can get it at BEYA. Become everything you are.
Thank you guys for that commercial break. I cannot wait to be back. I have so many more questions, and I'm sure my fellow ambassadors do as well. Admiral Williams, do you mind telling me more about the Centennial 7 and the impact of it all? And what it was like being a part? I'm unfamiliar with the Centennial 7. Can you even describe to our viewers what that is, what that means?
Well, the United States Submarine Force was established in the year 1900. The very first submarine was SS-1 Holland. And 100 years later, the year 2000, within that period, there were only 7 African Americans who had the opportunity and privilege to serve as a commanding officer. And so, therefore, the Navy branded us the Centennial 7. Now, what's important about that? What's important is not so much about the individuals, and what we have done. We decided to take action whereby we created a mentoring network for all people, but in particular, those who were interested in becoming a commanding officer of a submarine. And so 25 years later, that is the year 2025, there will have been about a total of 25 African Americans who have commanded a submarine. And today, we actually have 4 that are in command. And so the message is not so much about being the first or what I did or what we did. It's ensuring that the bench is deeper and that you provide opportunities for others to excel. And we feel pretty good about that. Thank you.
I want to apologize for saying it wrong. Centennial 7. I'm sorry about that. But that's also was mind blowing. 7 of you guys were picked. That's amazing. What did it feel like being a part of that 7? And did you guys like ever like have like a team plan or come together and like just have those group discussions?
Well, it's one where we're all very humble. I mean, we don't get into accolades about ourselves, but I will tell you that when you're in that role, you're focused on your mission, what you can do to serve others, as I've mentioned before. But one of the things that we did in addition to mentoring was we established a network similar to Career Communications Group, your ambassadors, leveraging technology. And we use a social media application whereby all of us are on the application, and the original, those who are still with us, Centennial 7 members, as well as not just the other 18 commanding officers, but also all the way down to the most junior person, ensigns, lieutenant junior grades, etc. We're all on an application. And so when someone achieves something, qualifies in submarines or graduates from a university and they enter the submarine force, we can all see it and we can all comment on it in real time. So the social network aspect of the mentoring is real, and we're like a family. We're like a community. We take care of each other. And that is so very, very important. Thank you.
Thank you for the information on the Centennial 7 and just giving us your perspective being in the Centennial 7. General Vincent Brooks, can you let us know more about your career, how you applied your service, your mindset while doing your service?
Oh, absolutely. I was always interested in going in medicine as I was growing up. And that was the case all the way into my senior year of high school, at which time I suddenly recognized when I saw my brother coming home for the first time from the U.S. Military Academy at West Point in his cadet uniform, having left the home only 6 months earlier, that there was something different about what he was experiencing. And it appealed to me in a way that it had not up to that point in time. My father was a career Army officer and ultimately an Army general. But I was actually not interested at all in going to the military. So the inspiration that came from my brother caused me to turn toward the military academy. Thankfully, I was prepared. So I had good grades. I had been involved in scholastic activities. I was a lettered athlete at 2 different high schools. So I'd had the opportunity to be well prepared for that, but I was late. And thankfully, I was a good enough athlete that I was recruited to go into West Point. When I got there, I was actually on the varsity team, played for Coach Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K, better known as, who recently retired as the head coach of Duke and has won more college basketball games than any other coach in American history. But that was in his early years, and I played for him at that time. I realized while there that my academics were suffering more than I had ever experienced prior to getting to West Point. And I chose not to continue intercollegiate athletics, to concentrate on my military and my academic responsibilities, knowing that that was going to be the long-term goal for my service. I was going to serve as a leader in the infantry. So those the ground pounders, the assault troops that are at the cutting edge of our national security. And that's where I wanted to put my leadership to the test. I was fortunate in my senior year at West Point to be named to a position that is called the Cadet Brigade Commander, also known as the First Captain. And that position is the top ranking position that a cadet can hold. And it's responsible for all 4,000 members of the cadets student body at West Point. And up to that point in time, there had never been an African American to hold that position. West Point started in 1802, had its first African American graduate in 1877, Henry Flipper. And it was a long time from then to my time, having been selected for that position. That gave me a strong start to serve, but also some obstacles, as some people wanted to make sure I was kept in my place, that I didn't have too much of an ego. And so with humility, I entered as a second lieutenant, the lowest officer rank, and was assigned as a paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne Division, jumping out of airplanes and then going straight into ground assault after you land. A very elite unit with a great history. I learned as time went on that every unit is great if it's well led and if people believe in themselves. And I was fortunate to serve in several different organizations around the world during the Cold War in Germany, in Korea on 2 different occasions, in the Middle East for 6 or 7 years. So a lot of different experiences, had the opportunity to encounter 88 different militaries around the world and do some things that were meaningful to our nation. There was a point that was made earlier about hoping to be able to do bigger and better things. And, you know, it's interesting, you actually can have an aspiration for bigger and better things, but the way you get to bigger and better things is by being excellent one step at a time. In whatever opportunity you've been given, you try to excel, do the best you can, and you are likely to be given, or you may be given, another opportunity for something larger or more advanced or more complicated or more people. And so my encouragement to all of you is to follow that path of service. Be excellent in what you do as you're providing service to others, and let the opportunities emerge after that. In other words, don't seek the opportunities first, seek preparation and service first, and then opportunities get added to that.
Thank you for the insight of what your service looked like, the story behind it, that fun fact of being under the head coach of the now retired head coach of Duke. Did not see that coming. Moira has a few questions for you. Moira, you can go ahead and ask your questions.
Hi, I would just like to say both of you gentlemen are so cool, and I will definitely use your advice in my personal life. And I'm in college right now, so I'll definitely use that during finals season. But I would just like to ask, first, I would like to ask General Brooks, what would you consider, what's the difference between going to a military academy and just going to ROTC at your college, like at a college like UF or FAMU or North Carolina A&T, stuff like that?
No, thank you for asking that. It's an important question. My intention was to go to, I'll call it a regular college, you know, a traditional university, and to study pre-medicine. Also to pursue ROTC. So I did have an interest in service, but I wasn't interested in being fully immersed in that at the time. So it was going to be a combination of basketball, ROTC, and pre-med for me in college, and I applied accordingly. When I ultimately got accepted to the military academy, that took me in a very different direction. We used to jokingly call it the un-college, because there are significant differences in the structure that is around you. So you're in a fully military culture and environment, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for 4 years. That structured curriculum also academically was very narrowly restricted to science, technology, engineering, and math at the time. There are more options available now for broader majors in a wide variety of fields, like most universities and colleges. The faculty is mostly military, so military officers who've been given advanced degrees in the subject that they're teaching. And there are tenured professors as well who are mostly military officers, some civilians as well. That would not be the case if you were to go to one of the other universities or colleges you described, where nearly everyone is a civilian instructor. Few have military experience. ROTC is the most concentrated amount of military activity on the campus. The professor of military science or the professor of naval science, if you happen to be going in as a naval cadet, they'll be your principal interface for military activities and culture. And within that university, you're a small aspect numerically. And those are exact opposites in terms of what the experience looks like. Last thing I would add is you certainly would have a different social life at a regular college versus a military academy that has far more restrictions. But, it's a life of discipline. Service requires discipline, and I certainly highly encourage it. My sister went to traditional undergrad and then went graduate school at Howard University. My brother and I, of course, went to the military academy. My parents went to a historically black college university, Virginia State University, called college at the time. And so I'm familiar with both sides of this, but each one of them provides opportunities, and both of them can give you a great start in life.
Oh, wow. I'll definitely keep that in mind.
Thank you. That was an amazing question, Moira, and that was an amazing answer, General Brooks. Since this show is all about service, I'd like to introduce another guest speaker, former astronaut and former head of NASA, Major General Charlie Bolden. He'll be right with us. He's probably flying in because he's like an astronaut, so. Okay. Well, when he pops up, I'll be happy to introduce him again. Moira, I know you had another question.
Yes, I did. What moment during your service were you like, this is really worth it? Like, I'm really fighting for something bigger than me.
Well, I'll jump in there. One of the things to think about with General Brooks and my background and others is when we talk about service, it truly is in our DNA. And many times it's in our family's DNA. You heard from General Brooks, his parents, siblings. For me, I'm a part of a 4-generation naval service family where my dad was a senior enlisted, served 27 years in the U.S. Navy. Then I had the privilege to serve 33 years. Then my dad's grandson, my nephew, is currently serving as a 1-star Marine, and he's got 30 years. And his daughter is a senior at the U.S. Naval Academy, and his son also served as a Marine. And so 4 generations, if you add it up, it's about 100 years of service, and it's not going to go away. And to answer your question about, when did the light bulb come on with respect to the value of service, one of the things when I was on a submarine and we were involved in combat operations from the sea, shooting Tomahawk cruise missiles for the first time ever from a submarine. And then days later, the country that had been invaded by an adversary, it was Kuwait, was liberated. And General Brooks, I'm sure, was involved in all that. But point being is, launching Tomahawk cruise missiles from the Red Sea contributed to the liberation of people in a country that had been invaded. Wow, that's a big deal. And the second example is, after a devastating earthquake in Haiti in the year 2010, as a fleet commander, we were able to amass an armada of sailors and Marines and representatives from other nations and non-governmental organizations to save lives of people who were in suffering after that earthquake. Boy, when you see little babies being saved as a result of something that you were involved in, it's life-changing. Thank you.
Well, absolutely. I would, those are great examples. You know, it can happen early when you start getting an echo back from people that you're privileged to lead and to serve. And I would add that this approach to leadership that often many of us who have been successful ascribe to is described as servant leadership. So there's service inherent in the approach to leading. You're focused on those who are being led more so than onto yourself. And when you get an echo, a reflection back from those who are being led, and they affirm you as a leader, that's one of the first indications that maybe it's really worth it. Maybe I made the right choice here. And there's a deep feeling of satisfaction that comes from that. And then as time goes on, if you're fortunate enough to have multiple opportunities of service with larger and larger organizations and more significant consequences to your actions, like those that Admiral Williams talked about, then you will find other ways of getting that feedback. And I certainly remember a number of things that were like that along my career journey, where someone says, hey, you know, you helped to save lives, or you made it possible for us to have our first free and fair elections. You created an example for our military that we had never seen before. They were always oppressors, and now they're protectors because they're following your example. These sorts of things can be very, very intrinsically rewarding and satisfaction from a sense of service.
Wow.
I had another question for you guys. I was just thinking, my fellow ambassadors and I were a part of the Generation Z, and your generation did a lot for America, especially the both of you too. What do you guys want to see Generation Z do, and what kind of service do you want to see Generation Z a part of? What type of country do you feel like is Generation Z could fit well into?
I'll throw the first swing at that pitch. Thank you for a great question. I have high hopes for your generation. Every generation rises up to the challenge that faces it. And we would hope that the challenges you face are not going to be the same as the challenges we faced, but you're going to face challenges. The world will remain an uncertain and dangerous place. The world will require people who care about each other and are providing service to one another to stay connected and as intact as we want it to be. We have not completely fulfilled our objectives as being the kind of nation we have always dreamed of being, and you'll have to help deliver us closer to being the nation we dream of for ourselves and that others dream of about us. And so I just want to encourage you and applaud you. All of you are thinking differently. I didn't think like this when I was 19 years old. Not the way you're thinking. You recognize that there's a bigger world out there than my generation, the baby boomers, recognized. And your spirit of service, your spirit of wanting to be part of something bigger is more refined, more kindled now at your level than it was when I was your same age. So I have great hopes for you. I want it to be a world where you can be the person you want to be and achieve anything you want to achieve with no hindrances, no obstacles, except for your own abilities.
Thank you.
Thank you for that beautiful answer. That was amazing. I really hope that we can grow to those expectations and, fulfill everything you just said.
Me too. Hope, thank you for asking that question.
Thank you. I want to call, I want to go back to introducing the head of NASA and former astronaut, Major Charlie Bolden, who will be with us audio only. He will be with us only, if that's okay. How are you
Well,
today?
that's okay. I'm trying to get
Hello.
my camera. Can you hear me? Can you at
So
least
it
hear
seems
me?
like we're having some technical difficulties.
May I jump in while,
Yes.
while we're trying to do that? General Brooks gave a wonderful answer about the generational thing, and for me, what I found was not just the generational differences, but also culture differences. I by design, I served in the military, then I served in the federal government, and then I served in higher education for over a decade. Those cultures are different, and they're all populated by 5 generations. And what I found was the common denominator is human nature. Everyone has wants and needs, regardless of which generation you're in or which culture that you're in. And so as a leader, as we all think about what can we do as leaders to make the world a better place, I truly believe that it's important that we look in the mirror and start there. I have done this. And the number one characteristic I think of a leader is the character of that leader, the ethical, moral conduct, values and beliefs, your genuine concern for people. And whether you're Gen Z or a baby boomer, whether you're in the military or in higher ed, the leader's character is going to be truly the factor that's going to determine whether or not the organization succeeds or does not. Thank you.
I love how you mentioned character. I think in the looking in the mirror, it does start with being able to introspect ourselves and being able to look within ourselves. So thank you, Admiral Williams, for that great answer, and thank you, General Brooks, for your answer as well. Good afternoon, Major General Charlie Bowden. How are you today?
I'm doing well, and you would think that the one person who was in NASA would not have the technical difficulty, but I did, and I really apologize. It's good to see Admiral Williams and General Brooks, two good friends. Let you ask questions or whatever. I don't want to waste a lot of time, but I think I'm the Marine Corps representative here. So we've got the Army, the Navy, and the Marine Corps represented. And much like General Brooks, I think, well, I started out at the Naval Academy, and well, not like General Brooks. He started out at that other place that will determine which is best here in a few weeks in the annual Army Navy game. But I think I'm the oldest in this crowd, and unlike the two of them who participated in conflicts in the Gulf, in the Arabian Gulf, I'm an old guy, so I'm a Vietnam veteran, and I'm a pilot. I spent 34 years in the Marine Corps. I was very fortunate. I was blessed to spend 14 years in the middle of that time as a member of NASA's astronaut corps, and I had an opportunity to fly on the space shuttle, 4 flights, commanding 2 of them. And then after retiring from the Marine Corps, much to my surprise, because I try not to be a political person. I did not know President Obama, but I was nominated by him to become the NASA administrator. So I spent both 8 years, almost 8 years, both of his terms running the space agency. So pilot, Marine, father, grandfather, and just plain old guy. So I'll try to see if you have questions for me. I see General Brooks smiling. So he's feeling really good because his team's still undefeated. Mine's not anymore.
You said it.
That's true. That's true. I did. I did.
I don't think there's anything plain about you. That was another one after another one after another celebration. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Your career has been amazing. What's your biggest lesson throughout everything you've accomplished?
I learned the lesson over and over and over. I grew up in the segregated South in Columbia, South Carolina, and my mom and dad were school teachers. And the thing they always taught me at our dinner table or breakfast table or whatever it was one thing: take care of your people. You know, always remember that no matter what you do, you're in the people business. And I have to learn that lesson over and over and over again, that no matter how good you think you are, you're only as good as the people who surround you, and they will allow you to really look good if you turn them loose and support them. So that's the lesson I keep learning over and over.
Love that. You're part of the people business. I love that. I'm going to keep that in mind. You mentioned Major Bolden when you came on here. You said you guys are part of three different branches. What do you think is a key characteristic you need for your specific branch in the military?
I think the biggest thing about the Marine Corps, we like to say we do windows, and you're too young, so you may not understand that. The Marine Corps is sort of the 911 force. We have aviation, we have people who go with the Navy on the sea, and although our primary branch is infantry, every Marine is a rifleman. From the very beginning of recruit training or officer candidate school or the Naval Academy, everybody's trained to be a squad leader or a rifle platoon commander, and then you branch out from that into your particular professions. Whether it's cybersecurity or communications or aviation, like I am. So I think that's sort of the unique characteristic of the Marine Corps. We usually serve. We almost never serve alone. We're almost always either with our ground brethren, the Army. We are usually under a senior leader in the Army, as I was when I served in the Gulf. The senior military group was the Army in what was called the Army of Central Command. I've been other places where we were under the Air Force, but we're the window washers. We're the guys that do whatever you need for us to do. I think I got that right. Did I get that close, General Brooks?
You did just fine. Marine Corps is great pride. Each one of the services has a unique characteristic and a unique role that it fulfills for the nation. We work best when we're working together. We mess with each other every other day, but when it comes time to doing serious work for our nation, we do that locked arm in arm, and we take care of each other, make sure that one enhances the other, and we accomplish the nation's missions that have been assigned to us. Each one of us is very different, though, and we enjoy working together with the joint team, as we call it.
And I'll just mention about the Navy, if I may. The Department of the Navy includes the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Marine Corps. And the U.S. Navy, per se, a big part of what the Navy does is the prevention of war. So you'll find that the Navy is dispersed around the world. And the mere fact that we're out there, that we're visible, that we're engaged with our allies and partners, to some extent, helps to deter adversaries from even starting a conflict. And that's what you want. You want someone that's out there on offense in a position such that it really prevents war. However, if the adversaries are so bold as to engage, the United States Navy, serving with the Marine Corps, serving with all the services and our allies, will fight back to ensure that people are safe around the world, in particular the U.S., the Americans, as well as our allies. So the Navy is a great service working with the joint services, as General Brooks mentioned, and it's been a privilege for me to be a small part of that. Thanks.
General Bolden,
Sorry. I just have one question. Bouncing off of what Admiral Williams said, have you all worked on a project together on NASA? Like the Marines, Navy, and Army, have they worked together on a NASA project together?
All the time. As General Brooks said, today, we all came up in an era. When I started, there was no such thing as what was called Goldwater Nichols. But at one point, Congress passed a law called the Goldwater Nichols Act that caused us to look at serving jointly. So you would have a command headed by a person from a particular service, but there would be representatives from all the services there. We found it would be much more effective. both in peacekeeping, and I want to reemphasize what Admiral Williams said. All the military branches are peacekeepers. That's our primary focus, is to make sure that we put forth the type of power and capability that other nations will see and will not want to engage in combat with the United States. When we are not able to do that, it means that our diplomatic efforts along the line somewhere have failed, and that's when we go to work. But I cannot remember a time in my 34 year in the Marine Corps when I was not working alongside Army, Navy, or Air Force brethren, and even today, the Guardians from the Space Force, who have taken over a lot of the duties that used to be mostly in the Air Force, but in all the other services that dealt with space. So we pride ourselves, as General Brooks said earlier, in being able to work together. He was, when he was responsible for the whole theater in Korea, he had all the services there under his command. And his partners, the Korean military, he also had access to all of their forces. So that's what the advantage of joint service has done for us today. And we do the nation's bidding, but our primary hope is that we can work with the diplomats in maintaining peace around the world, so that we don't have to go into combat.
That's really cool, and that really shows the power of teamwork. May I ask a question that I asked previously? What's your favorite part about service? Like, when was the moment? Oh, and this is for Major General Charlie Bolden. I asked that before to General Brooks.
Yeah.
Now I'm asking you that. When was the moment you were like, wow, like I'm really working for the greater good?
I think I knew that from the moment I got to the Naval Academy, but I think it struck me most after a 14-year career in the astronaut office in NASA. I thought I had done everything that anybody would want to do, having been to space and everything. But then I was blessed to have the opportunity to go back to my alma mater, the United States Naval Academy, and serve as the Deputy Commandant of Midshipmen, which is sort of like in a normal school, that would be the Vice Dean of Students. So I had an opportunity to get what I call re-green, to get reoriented into the military. And I spent, almost every day of the year that I was there in that capacity up at 5:36 in the morning, out running around with young people, 17, 18 years of age. I got in the best shape I'd ever been in. And I realized what a privilege it was to serve the nation in that capacity. And then once I became a general officer, I realized that the highlight of my Marine Corps career was not going to space, was not doing anything else, but it was having the privilege every day to come into the office and work alongside young Marines and soldiers and airmen and sailors who I think are the best people in the world. They don't ask any quarter. They just want to serve, and they just want to make life better for everybody else. So I think the highlight of my time in active service was just being able to serve with other Marines, enlisted and officer, as well as our civilian counterparts. It's just one of the greatest organizations I've ever been associated with.
That's really, really cool. Thank you, gentlemen, for your amazing insights. And I would like to turn this over to Hope so she can transfer to the next segment.
Thank you all for your service, and thank you for even giving back and taking time to talk with us today. It's been a wonderful time talking with you all, and thank you for sharing your insights. Do you know someone who would be an excellent guest for BEYA Stars and Stripes Career Day? Please tell us about them. Before I turn it over to Oliver, here's a word from our sponsor, Lockheed Martin. Thank you, guys.
I work at Lockheed Martin as a cybersecurity systems engineer, and I've been at Lockheed for 19 years. The role of cybersecurity engineering has a tremendous impact on the mission to deliver secure systems to our customers. I have 3 children. My kids are the center of my universe. I would not be able to continue working effectively as a working parent if it had not been for the flexibility in our work schedule and the flexibility of our leaders to help me exercise a flexible work schedule. One of the reasons why I've been at Lockheed Martin for 19 years is because I think the culture and the values that we demonstrate really reflect my own personal values. Performing with excellence, acting with integrity, those are steadfast values that we talk about day to day. I have seen great changes in the diversity within our company. 19 years ago, there weren't a whole lot of women in leadership, so the few that we had were highly coveted. Today, I'm proud to say that we see quite a few women in leadership roles. The advice that I would provide to young women and girls who are interested in STEM is go for it. You can do it. Don't let anyone stop you.
What if you could build your own city? A place where every child can find nurturing people to help them achieve their full potential. A place where every adult can access job training support, where health education is abundant, where social justice ruled the land. A place without limitations. Welcome. You have arrived at STEM City, USA. It is what every city should be. A safe and trusted community where you find people and resources to help you become everything you are and beyond. STEM City is unlike anything you have ever experienced. It is a digital twin of the world around you, only better. STEM City is about energy and soul renewal. It is more than a digital world. You can almost feel the power of live cultural events, music, and theater. STEM City promises a better future for children with caring mentors and hands-on activities with dedicated tutors to support our youth. STEM City is your passport to a healthy lifestyle with weekly events addressing our community's many issues. STEM City is your financial well-being with helpful information on wealth management, career advancement, job training, and so much more. STEM City is the community you deserve. It is the city where your dreams can come true. STEM City USA, a place in the sky that is accessible to all who reach for the stars.
Thank you. That was STEM City USA, our 2D metaverse. Today, we talked about communities and the way collective knowledge shapes us. Join our online community using Call-in AI, a resource that gives you information about STEM professionals that can guide you through the decision-making process. Learn more about Call-in AI, the AI-powered library in STEM City USA. You can interact with our archives and ask questions to locate primary sources from decades of different media. Don't forget to visit stemcityusa.com and enter the Education and Discovery building. Then enter the library to sign up for your digital library card. Now, onto the segment called Oliver's Observations. Today on Oliver's Observations, we're talking about the Congress approving billions of dollars for veterans. So the overview of this, on September 24th, the United States Congress passed major legislation to allocate billions of dollars to help military veterans cover their medical costs. This funding is intended to close budget gaps and improve the delivery of healthcare benefits to veterans and their families, ensuring that they receive the support they need in a timely manner. The legislation underscores the government's commitment to fulfilling its obligations to those who have served. Understanding the Veteran Affairs budget shortfall. In the 2024 fiscal year, which is the government year for tax and whatnot, the Department of Veteran Affairs, the VA, encountered a significant budget shortfall of nearly $3 billion, posing a serious risk to its adaptability to distribute critical benefits on time. This funding gap affected core programs, including compensation, pension, and readjustment benefits that provide essential financial and healthcare support to millions of veterans and their families. The deficit created uncertainty around veteran affairs capacity to meet increased demand, particularly as new legislation like the PACT Act expanded eligibility for benefits to veterans affected by toxic exposures. Without immediate financial intervention, this shortfall threatened to delay the scheduled payments relied upon by veterans, survivors, and dependents nationwide. In response to the Veteran Affairs financial shortfall, Congress quickly passed the Veterans Benefits Continuity and Accountability Supplement Appropriations Act, providing $3 billion in funding to cover the gap. This funding ensures veterans and their families receive compensation, pension, and readjustment benefits without disruption, addressing increased demand and rising costs. Impact on our veterans. The approved funding guarantees that nearly 7 million veterans and their families will receive timely compensation and pension benefits, preventing any interruptions that could impact their financial stability. This allocation also ensures that over 800,000 veterans and beneficiaries will continue to receive their readjustment benefits as scheduled. These readjustment benefits will include education, vocational training, and support services, which are essential for our veterans transitioning back into civilian life and securing employment opportunities. By providing this critical funding, Congress has reinforced the Veteran Affairs ability to meet the needs of our veterans and their families without delay, supporting both immediate financial security and long-term reintegration efforts. Finally, I would like to give my observations on this topic. While the immediate budget shortfall has been addressed, the Department of Veteran Affairs anticipates a need for an additional $12 billion in the fiscal year 2025 to cover the medical care expenses for these veterans. This project stems from increased enrollment in Veteran Affairs health services, higher costs for prescription drugs, and the hiring of additional staff to meet this growing demand. To address this, establishing a trust fund solely for Veteran Affairs healthcare services would provide a more consistent and reliable funding stream, less subject to political fluctuations. This fund would be similarly structured to Social Security, with automatic adjustments based on inflation and healthcare demand projections. Another way we could combat this issue would be by shifting some resources towards preventative healthcare programs, where we would be able to help manage long-term costs by reducing the incidence of chronic illness among the veterans, which would further combat this issue. Thank you. I would like to pass this on to my fellow ambassador, Moria.
Thank you to all who joined us for Career Day. We appreciate your insights in the chat and your opinions and questions. Today, I am inspired by how far-reaching service can be and by the commitment our guest speakers made when they became members of their service branches. Thank you to our Career Day speakers, General Vincent Brooks, Vice Admiral Mel Williams, and Major General Charles Bolden, and of course, our wonderful student ambassadors. Thank you for joining us today, viewers, and thank you to our guests for sharing their experiences and insights. Please remember to visit STEMcityUSA.com for more BEYA STEM Career Day segments. We would like to give a very special thanks to our BEYA STEM Career Day sponsor, Lockheed Martin. They are known for their groundbreaking work in aerospace, arms, defense, information security, and technology around the world. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and join us for the next Career Day on December 14th, 2024, right before Christmas, where we'll feature Internet Hall of Fame legend Alan Imtaj and even more STEM professionals, college students, and high school standouts. I'm ready to explore new STEM careers with you. See you next time. This is Moria Bowman signing off.
From every corner, from far and wide, our talents merge, our futures tied. In science, taking all the arts, we find our way, we play our parts, reach for the stars.
Every day at Lockheed Martin, We are creating the future. When did I decide to become an engineer? Where I grew up in my village, we had a lot of interaction with nature. So I was always fascinated by the flight of the hummingbird. Seeing this marvelous aerodynamics of the hummingbird gave me this general idea that I wanted to be working on the ability to control things that flew. I've had this long running curiosity, I still do today, of asking the question, why is this the way it is? Are there ways to improve what it does? And in fact, those are the same questions we ask every day at Lockheed Martin. That's why my colleagues come to work saying, this is great, we've done all these great things, we've built all these great systems. How could we make it better? And how could we make it better together? Lockheed Martin's engineers and scientists are at the forefront of innovation. Everything from AI and machine learning to hypersonics to directed energy. Individually, all these are really critical capabilities that we need to develop. To actually deliver something ahead of ready to our customers, it takes pulling these pieces together into an overall mission capability. What we are doing here matters to our nation, to our nation's security.